Question number one, what is the fundamental character of the 21st century world? If you had to describe it in a word, what would the word be? Most people would say globalization. I far prefer the word interdependence, because the way we're tied together goes way beyond economics, and it is fundamentally different not only across national borders, but within them. We are bound together by trade and investment and travel and immigration and growing diversity and information technology and culture and a global awareness of things that would have been unthinkable a generation ago. I can go to Florida or Idaho, and some young person will ask me about Darfur. Interdependence. Question number two, is it a good or a bad thing? My answer, both. It is good in ways that I take it would be self-evident to you. This student body is a lot more interesting than it would be if I were giving this speech 35 years ago. You're more diverse ethnically, religiously, culturally. You know more things. You share more things. You can imagine doing different things. The interdependent world has been good for you. It has enabled the Chinese government and the private sector to lift more people out of poverty there in a brief period than ever before. It has enabled the Indian government to reclaim the historic legacy of India, where arithmetic was founded as a leader in information technology. But there's a lot that's not so good about this interdependent world. It is, and there are three principal objections. One is it's unequal. Half the world's people still live on less than $2 a day. 1 billion people on less than $1 a day. 1 billion people have no access to clean water. 1 billion go to bed hungry every night. 2.5 billion have no access to sanitation. 1 in 4 of all deaths this year will come from AIDS, TB, malaria, and infections related to dirty water, things that will kill virtually anybody here ever met. Even people who are HIV positive in the United States, if they get medication sooner enough and have good interventions and take care of themselves, can look forward to long lives. So this is an unequal world. Sometimes I read columns where people are really upset that Hugo Chavez is popular in Venezuela and Mr. Morales became the first native Indian elected president of Brazil, and now Mr. Correa in Ecuador. If you were a 45-year-old Bolivian miner whose body was old before its time, and you had 4 children whom you thought would never get any benefits from your long years of labor except a thin scrap of food on the table at night, and there were no reasonable prospects that your kids would do better than you did, you would have voted for Evo Morales too. So it's unequal. The second thing about this interdependent world is it's unstable. The vulnerabilities that we have to terror, to weapons of mass destruction, to the spread of disease, in some ways are not as great as the vulnerabilities of the 20th century, which led to 2 world wars and the massive purges in the former Soviet Union and in China and the slaughters in Cambodia. But everybody feels them. When there was a plan to put explosives in a baby bottle on an airplane going from London to the United States, everybody who ever got on an airplane in a rich country could feel the shiver, a tingle in their spine, a shared sense of vulnerability. And the third thing is the current world is unsustainable. It's unequal, unstable, and clearly unsustainable because of climate change, which now everybody admits is occurring, is caused by human activity, and the only serious debate is how bad are the consequences going to be, how soon. But also because of another factor less well appreciated, which might bite us sooner, which is the significant depletion of critical resources on Earth. Water, soil, biodiversity, and interestingly enough, oil, natural gas. Some serious petroleum experts believe we only have 35 years of recoverable oil left on Earth. I know of no one who believes we can get the Earth off an oil platform in 35 years. So ironically, the depletion of oil should appeal to people who aren't turned on by climate change to be aggressive about energy conservation and clean energy. And people who are worried about spreading hunger and tens of millions of food refugees should be worried about the distress on topsoil, on trees, the fact that 90% of the fisheries in the world are understocked now. All of this is also related to climate change. So even if you thought this was a peachy keen world, it's clearly an unsustainable one. Question 3, how should we change it? My answer, we should work from interdependence, which is good for us, but unequal, unstable, and unsustainable, to integrated communities, locally, nationally, and globally. The definition of all successful communities includes shared opportunities, shared responsibilities, and a genuine sense of belonging, which is different from sharing the same piece of land, or the same last name, or the same ethnic group, or the same religion. A genuine sense of belonging. When the terrorist bombs went off in the United Kingdom, it was traumatizing for many British people because the Muslims who set the bombs off were not infiltrators from other places, as happened on 9/11, but native British citizens who shared the same land, went to work and talked to their neighbors in a friendly way, talked to their co-workers in a friendly way, but obviously had no genuine sense of belonging. Beneath the mask, there was a profound alienation. What does it take to have a sense of belonging, locally, nationally, globally? Do you have to give up your faith or give up your heritage or give up your different political views? No. I'll go back to what I said in the beginning. This is a much more interesting world than it was 35 years ago. This is a much more interesting university than it was. You only have to embrace one simple idea, that your differences are interesting and make life more exciting and aid the search for truth and progress, but your common humanity matters more. Simple, elemental idea. Easy to say, hard to do, but it makes all the difference. Proud of who I am. I like my roots, but the humanity I share with you is even more important than the differences we have. Now,